Hey everybody, this is Ms. Heather from the High School Counseling Office with a short webinar summarizing the university launch presentation that was presented the 7th of March. Remember, these short webinars do not substitute your live attendance at anything related to your university counseling process. So please make sure you pay attention to the schedule and join us whenever possible. I just wanted to remind everybody about some upcoming university events that are happening this semester. Schools from all over the world are visiting NITO. Remember that even if it's not the school you're interested in, if they're coming from the right continent, if they have the right format or a similar set of majors, please join these events that usually happen during Flex and Lunch. The May programs for the big US consortiums are happening in the evening. These events are listed in Naviance. Please make sure you're making time to do some serious research and relationship building this semester related to university visits. Here's also a reminder about the active testing cycle that you should be involved in. The SAT and ACT test dates are here. The TOEFL is ongoing and online. Remember, you're responsible for registering by the deadlines, making sure that you have prepared for tests when you sit for the official exams, where the scores will stay with you through the college application process. Remember that test preparation is an important part of your ongoing academic life from now on. Just remember to remind you who the amazing team members are who are going to support you through the end of your NITO career. Mr. Lally and I, of course, are supporting the entire cohort with the university process, including key collaborators like Ms. Ala in the office, Ms. Nalagach related to National Plan and Chilean University Counseling, Mr. Suplee related to the IB, and of course your grade level advisors. In the past, Mr. Lally and I have split the cohort related to geographic focus. I have been the US expert, Mr. Lally has been the world expert, and that has been kind of a relic of the NITO of the past. Now NITO students are multi-country candidates, so we're actually going to reorient our counselor allocation to better reflect and better serve you. So we are going to split the cohort not by GPA, not by diploma program, not by alpha order, and not by country preference anymore, where we are going to take you through your academic, social, emotional, and graduation and university process, overseeing everything together. So counselor allocation were made at the end of our seminar live, and it will be available to you over email. We're looking forward to reorienting the group to either Ms. Heather or Mr. Lally and moving forward. Of course, we're in constant communication, but we're excited to move forward with the new counselor assignments. The core values are, of course, super important to remember. We're interested in you as a person. It's important that you also get in touch with who you are and what you want. We're very focused on fit, personally, academically, and financially for university. You are the star of the show and responsible for all the decisions that you make, and will be ready to own up to outcomes that happen, gaining confidence along the way, understanding that your university degree doesn't make you a better person or diminish you as a person depending upon the admissions outcome, and that staying in clear communication really facilitates a more successful process. We're your partners in this. We're the leads. We are entering into a time of some pretty complicated choreography. Many of you will need to learn multiple routines based on the country systems you're involved with, and it's important to practice. We are also your coaches, interested in what your goals are and making you aware of what training is necessary so that you're going to be ready to perform and run your own race at the end of the day. We are now going to group, not only reassign you, some of you will continue to have Mr. Lally as your counselor, and half of you will have me, which I'm very excited to have sooner than later. But we are now going to group you according to geography into university teams because of the scope of work that's required, the various tasks that are done, and we want to create community and awareness and expertise amongst the group of kids that are doing the same activities. We're being inspired by the Olympic rings to make the following university team assignments. You are going to opt into one of the following teams, just one, and it reflects the broadest area of interest you have now related to your geographic university goals. The green team will be those students who are interested in at least one USA university and at least one other country. So if you have an interest in applying to the US, you might not know the school, please put yourself on the green team, at the US and one other country, including Chile. The blue team will be those students who are not interested interested in applying to a U.S. institution, but other countries around the world. The red and the yellow teams have the narrowest geographic focus. The red team will be Chile only, and yellow will be USA only. Please make sure you're speaking with your parents clearly if you are going to make these choices, rather than assign yourself to a team with the broadest focus. It's easy to change teams. It happens all the time, but we want you to not miss the train, so to speak. The USA train leaves first, and we want to make sure that you're engaged in that process and you can kind of get off at a station, but it's very hard to get on the train once the train has left the station. So we're going to ask you through a Google form to assign yourself to one of the following university teams. Right now, today is the proverbial start line for everybody. You might, in fact, be engaged in some university stuff, but we're all going to launch together today, everybody, no matter where your university goals lie. But in fact, the programmatic piece will evolve in this way. It's a real staggered start, and it's very intentional. It's very best practice. It's very strategic when Mr. Lally and I have thought about exactly how to overlay the multiple university systems that one NITO student is engaged in to increase the probability of getting what you want. So after the university team assignments are made, we will begin to program with certain teams when appropriate. So nobody needs to come and make appointments with us or worry if your team has been forgotten if they see, let's say, the green team doing work. It's because the green team needs to do work based on their country system. So the teams will be utilized throughout the whole process, and we have thought very intentionally about how to make this complicated process, the multiple routines you're performing, well sequenced. March through June, programmatic components will unfold generally in this way, with more details coming in writing. We're going to be using Friday Flex Time as a time to meet together as juniors to do things like the UniQuest project, which is basically a very intensive research project. No matter your university goals, everybody's engaged in research. The deep reflective work that's required to prepare for the junior interview, as well as to get in touch and then to match who you are academically, to understand your academic profile, set academic goals, and tie that to your university strategies. We're also going to be using study halls for those juniors that have them, and after school times to group university teams together to conduct specific workshops that apply to them to work that is required at a certain time. The junior interview process will be when you get to meet with us in depth individually, and those will launch in April once everybody has done a lot of work to prepare. That's why we're not going to start interviews next week, because all students, no matter where you're going, need to do a lot of reflective work and research to prepare. We will be assigning these dates. So Mr. Lally and I will be strategically scheduling who does a junior interview when versus whoever gets in line first, because we know who we need to see when based on your university team assignments. Don't forget, test prep is an important part of your daily life. Everybody needs to start with the university team assignment with a geographic region. Pick a country. Then you might go deeper into regions, city preference, climate preference, etc. But you have to start somewhere on the globe to understand what the steps are for that particular country process. The average NITO student now, according to the past few cycles, NITO students are applying to multiple countries, on average 3 or 4. We would like to have no more than 5 countries, including your passport country. It doesn't seem to need that much variety, as well as there's a maximum application number of 10. You only can attend 1. We believe more is not more. Applying to more universities does not increase the likelihood of getting into any one of those universities. We are going to ask you to make hard choices up front, do deep research, and understand fit. The average application number of NITO students is around 4, so the number of 10 is most generous. UCAS, those multiple UK universities, the University of California systems, for example, those big portals that represent multiple schools count as 1. We can talk more about those details later, but just to tell you some of the parameters about how many countries and how many applications. You can see here on this slide where the number of countries where the class of 2018 matriculated. They had far more countries where they actually applied. The next major kind of fork in the road we are going to ask you to take, or decision, or preference, is to what generally do you want to study? Are you more humanities oriented or STEM oriented? Now, the far ends of that spectrum is the Renaissance medieval poetry or medicine, for example. Are you somewhere in the middle where cognitive psychology or business economics or something might put you somewhere in the middle that will draw upon humanities and STEM subjects? But this will help us, along with the geographic preference, place you in to help us understand how to orient your junior interview, orient your research, and things like that. So humanities or STEM, start to think about maybe your academic program here at Nido, the courses that you're choosing, the HL subjects that you're choosing, where your talents and interests lie. The next thing you want to be thinking about is, how flexible do I want my academic program to be? How much choice do I want to have once I get there? That this helps us understand country systems and universities that will allow greater degree or a lesser degree of either of these things. So that'll be another question that you will do some research on that will help us advance more in the junior interview about humanities versus STEM and flexibility and choice. Okay, you'll learn more about that as we move through some of these projects, how to determine your answer to these questions. It's time now. You might have seen this slide back in the Junior University Night, the launch in December. It is time for you and your parents to have an important heart-to-heart talk. We really need to know the non-negotiables that are on the table related to location, related to cost, and related to program. We do not want to waste anybody's time and pretend that something is possible when it's not. So we're very interested, and the homework will be to share any non-negotiables related to location, finances, and program. Okay, so it's time to do that. I'm going to be following up with an email, including a Google form that will ask students to report their university team selection, their results of their heart-to-heart talk with parents, and any non-negotiables that Mr. Lally and I need to be aware of. We're going to ask you to go big and give us a dream university that you're thinking about, and we're going to ask you to engage with a whole lot of other grown-ups who have a lot of advice to share and are very invested in your process. We're going to ask you to talk with a teacher or advisor of your choice about their process of university research, factors that influence them in the application process and the enrollment process. Just to remind you, the network of people who have stories to share, perspective to give, and it helps us understand kind of where you're coming from as well. We're also going to ask you to engage with our new Naviance. So Naviance is leaving the international market, and we are very excited about our new university counseling portal, Maya Learning. We are just onboarding that right now and training up as fast as we can. But part of the homework will be to sign up, make a Maya Learning account, and do a very short uploading exercise connected to your dream university. So all of this will be outlined in an email that you receive, and the deadline to keep this homework going so we can meet the next time with the next task. So stay tuned for a more in-depth calendar of flex time, university sessions, etc. We do need to get the data related to the teams to see where this junior cohort falls. Thanks so much for listening. Looking forward very much to this process.